small talk for a minute. So it's
Okay.
gone live, but I always like to wait until I see that at least one person's watching before we really get into the the discussion. But anyway, I'm Bill Patton, and here with me I have Heather Gage. How are you today, Heather?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Bill. How are you?
Excellent. I'm really excited to talk to you because we spoke leading up to your team's playoff match, the first one, and then some really awesome things have happened since then. And you know, I think it's really awesome to be able to talk to a coach while they're in the midst of it. Um, and this is kind of like one of those funny things, like, you'll watch sports and they want to like interview the head coach, like right before halftime. And the head coach doesn't usually say anything except for, platitudes and cliches. So this is not going to be that. We're going to try to dig into what are the lessons learned during this time. So, all right. So we've got two people watching, so that's good. So, Heather, so tell us a little bit about the situation that you're in now. Tell where you were when we first had our first one so that those who watched that one can kind of, bridge from here to there. And then where do you want to start with talking about your team? So
Okay. So we just secured our spot into the state championship final. When we spoke previously, it was what was that, last week? It's been a blur. It's been a lot.
Mhm.
Last week, we had, due to rain delays, actually we were supposed to have played that week. So we were into the third round of playoffs. We had a very tough match on the horizon, a team that we had beat we had lost to, a week or two prior. Very emotional, intense, heated, lots of tension between the two teams type of a match. So there's a lot going into that, more than just we want to win. We had a lot going on there. So we had a lot to overcome. We set out to play. Match got rained out that day, got rained out the next day.
Okay, wait.
Go ahead.
Why don't you tell that story
Oh,
about
okay, you want
how
details.
that all went? Because people don't. This is part of the hidden world of high school tennis. People don't understand that things like what you're about to tell us are actually kind of pretty common. So why don't you tell that story about the rain out?
Okay, so again, we've had a lot of intense emotions. We're all anticipating this big match. We get out, we all warm up, we get ready to play our match, and it's misting. And it had poured for hours, the whole entire day before, and then that day that we scheduled it to postpone for, it had poured all morning, and then around noon broke. There's some blue skies. Our AD, he's amazing. He went out, he was blowing cords, he was squeegeeing for me. I mean, he was trying to get these as playable as possible. So they were good enough. We warm up, everything feels good, and it just starts misting. Those courts cannot handle any more water. So we all line up, you got your two teams ready to do the intros and do all that. And I walk on the court, and I just had this instinct. I'm like, something doesn't feel right. And so I felt the lines. They were super slick. I mean, I just couldn't get past it. And it's just not worth it. We were the home team. We talked to the coach. Coach agrees they're slippery. Decide, all right, what are our options here? Ultimately, decide to postpone the match.
Well, wasn't there a little more drama to it?
There was some drama. They traveled to get to us, and they wanted to play this match. They were ready for it, and the coach was maybe suggesting we find some towels and dry the line, and didn't feel very logical because it was still misting. It
Right.
Dry
Right.
lines. Our lineup was a little bit on edge for that match. I had confidence regardless, but our number one player wasn't 100%. She was still going to play. It was one that I was like, we can win without that win. Let's put her on the court and see what happens. But they knew, they could tell she wasn't going to play.
Right.
So they wanted to play this match. And I don't blame them. So,
well, and let me break in for a second, because it's unshakable, that thing about someone is going to try to determine what your motives are. And I think I know you well enough to know that it was 100% about player safety and 0% about whether your number one player was ready to go.
100%. Yeah.
But when you're playing those people, right, who those are their motives, that's how they think, then what they do is they project that onto you.
I felt that. I really did. And like I said, I had no false intentions or motives. I wanted a good match, and I've been in sports for a really long time, and you go with what hand you have that day and you own it. I was ready. We were owning that hand. And it did. It worked in our favor that we got to push that match. Now, all of the other teams, so this was a quarterfinal match. The other teams all had already called off their matches. So it wasn't like everybody else played. Everybody pushed it. It went from Friday. Everybody pushed it to the Monday. So that pushes us to this week. These past, today's only Wednesday. So it's been a big week. We ended up playing that team on Monday night. It was very heated and intense. I will say I felt, for the most part, it was much more intense in a good way than some of the outside clutter that gets involved. So there was a little bit of drama, but it wasn't anything that I felt was, it didn't break my heart as much as I experienced in previous times.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So in these matches that you've played since, and we know, spoiler alert, you won both of them. So now you're looking forward to the state finals. What did you learn about your team? What did you learn about specific players in the way they came through that?
I learned to harp on the no regrets factor. And they came up big in that, and I kept telling them, because so let me tell you about my number two player, because this is a good example, and it actually happened with a bunch of players, but she played this same team. This is the third time we play this team. They happen to be in our region. First time we played them, she plays this girl. The girl she plays is an excellent tennis player. Our girl dominated the first set. Other girl comes back. Our girl gets in her head, takes it to the third set, 10-point tiebreaker, loses that breaker. Exact same thing happened the very next time we played them. Same exact thing. Dominates first set, close second set, loses the tiebreaker. The exact same thing was on par to happen again when we played them that third time. And I told her, I was like, this is your opportunity. You don't get opportunities in life to rewrite history. You get that chance. Like, we literally are in the same position. If you could go back in time and redo, because we all do that. We walk away from a match. What should I have done in that moment, in this moment? Do what you would have done in that moment. And she ended up winning it in 2 sets. It took it all the way to the tiebreaker in that second set, but she closed it. And she closed it hitting and playing big. And that became my motto the rest of the matches with everybody, was play the big points big. Because they get tentative. And that's why we were losing before.
Yeah, I want to pull something out of that, because I think that sometimes there's momentary wisdom that is perfect at the time, but it's not necessarily the poison pill. It's not like you can just, Heather did that one time with this player, and so then you should just tell your players, rewrite history.
Right.
Heather knew her players. She was at the situation, and she had some wisdom to share for that person at that time. So I think that that's a really great thing that you had that ready to say, and that she seized on that and was ready to accept that. So what are some of the other things that you learned from your team?
Rallying behind one another was a huge thing. You know, and last night, the night before, the week prior, it was everybody's kind of off, you know, the girls on the sidelines, right? And we've got, like, I carry a big roster. We come out strong. Like, we're there, but are we there? And the start of the matches felt flat. I'm looking down the line, looking at the teams. I'm looking at our scores. I'm like, we're feeling flat. Like, we didn't have the energy. As soon as we start delegating, you're on this court, text me scores, you know, and I have to create that. That's a work in progress. Getting high school girls to focus on a match and keep score and do all the things, it's a process. We're not perfect at it, but I started actively taking that role of saying, rather than saying cheer better, you know, instead it's text me the score when it gets to this score, because I know what's going to happen. When it gets to 5-4, 40-30, text me that. You know, I'm trying to get them to stay involved where they have to give me the detail, because nothing drives me nuts more when somebody's sitting behind a court and they can't tell me the score. So I was forcing that on them, and as a result of doing that, they got involved. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing them cheering. And when I'm hearing it on the one court and I'm down on the other end working on another court, I know, okay, that girl's momentum's raising over there. Cool. Let me bring that energy, carry it into this match I'm talking to right here, this player between.
Awesome. Well, so, yeah, I mean, that's great, because I think many coaches don't give players an objective. So then they're not really looking for anything. So then they're not engaged. And every single season that I've ever coached, we always started from 0, and then we would get to, on a scale of 1 to 10, we would get somewhere from a 6 to a 10 with actual engagement of players cheering each other on. And when we had those 10s, it just makes it so much more fun.
Yes,
but
I agree.
I have had numerous teams where just you have 1 or 2 bad apples, not very enthusiastic kids that don't want to cheer, and they also discourage their teammates from cheering, and that can make it difficult to get your whole team fired up. But it sounds like you've been successful at getting them all done. But I think my major point there is that it almost always starts from 0. Every year they have to learn again to support one another.
Yeah, it's true. And every match, they learn within a match, like the reminder of, oh, it's early in the match, they're not really checked out. And then as it gets more heated, I think as a coach, creating the value of when to step up their game a little bit on that side of things. When should we bring the energy? Not waiting too long. I don't want it to come down to the last match. I'm going to rally. And last night, that was a big reason why I think we won. I knew which lines we needed to win that were very winnable. And I planted people in those courts, and I told them, this is the match. This is everything right here. This is the match. Pay attention. And so I do think that helped. Well, I'll say, like, kind of a side note, one thing I've learned is, and I don't know if this is equal in the boys' side, but with the girls, they're very self-conscious about cheering. And they're very concerned about coming across to their opponents as being rude or being obnoxious. And I think it's because they've had other teams come and cheer, and they internalize that. And when we play a team that has good energy, I love it. I tell them, this is energy. This is team tennis. Like, this is a good thing. But they don't always look at it like, right? Like, they get in their head about it, like, oh, we don't want to be like that team that does that. And, you know, if you're cheering respectfully, cheer. And we're not going to call the opponent's names and be rude and you know, interrupt flow of a point or anything like that. Like,
right.
Good points get cheered on. Good, regardless of who wins the point. Cheer a good point.
Awesome. Great points. Great points. So what, in terms of like the performance on court, what were some of the things that surprised you? People coming up big, doing certain things better than they had been before.
Um, I did a switch up on my lineup, which I know, Bill, is not your
You're the coach.
We talked about it.
Wait,
well,
let's dig into that for a second. So full
okay.
disclosure is that Heather and I were talking, and she was bouncing some ideas off of me, and I have certain things I just rarely do. I almost never mess with my lineup except in rare instances, and I have very specific things that must happen. But you're the head coach, so you do whatever you want. So don't worry. See, you're worried about offending me, and I don't care.
No, I
really.
just wanted to acknowledge I did listen. I did
tell
hear
us
you.
about your lineup switch and how it worked.
So we have a great position where we've got we play, we're in South Carolina, we play 5 lines of singles and a doubles team. Basically, it's your 6 matches, and then the playoff match, if it goes to 3-3, you play your number 1 doubles team. So I've got a great number 5. I've got 2 girls, which are solid number 5 singles. One, I think, no, they're great. Very different types of games, different dynamics, mental abilities, different, both good, both bring value. So I have these options where I can pick and choose which one I'm going to play in that spot. And then I've got 4 girls to choose from for my doubles line. One, she's my rock. She's the one that's always going to be in, and she's got this revolving door of doubles partners. And this is really touchy because nobody likes to switch up their doubles partner. They want to get comfortable with the partner. I learned when I was playing in college that if you're a good doubles player, you can play with anybody any day. And so I would prefer to have one set pairing. But I've been really big this whole season because we have different options depending on different styles of play. One of them is this amazing at the net, just such a stud athlete. She's going to poach great. Ground strokes are a little weaker, can't handle the power. If I'm playing a bigger team, bigger power, I can't put her in as confidently as what I might do with a girl that is a singles player on a doubles court. So there's some strategy and intent there of trying to figure out, okay, what's the right play against this opponent. And so anyway, I changed from Monday to Tuesday. So Monday I went with one lineup. Our number 5 player for that day came up huge. She lost 6-0 in the second set of her singles match, came back and dominated the third set tiebreaker. I mean, we're in the side change. She's emotional. She's stressing out. It's like, hold up. This is where you get to be in this moment. And
that's awesome.
It was just watching her, and then it was a crowd. I stood on that court right on the side. I stood every single point. I'm there. I'm on it. I got my girls there. We're engaged. We're going to push her through this tiebreaker, and then we'll move on to the next match. I took that girl out of the singles for the next match. Because I felt like the other girl was going to handle that singles player on the next day, and I needed my doubles team to be solid. So all that to say, she surprised me in her ability to all of a sudden come forward and close balls from the net on the doubles court that next day, because she doesn't play the net. Like, that's not her comfort zone, but she's capable. And she did it. It was really spectacular, and did it in the big moments. She didn't even feel like she was doing it. Just like she started. I mean, they were playing 2 back. Again, I'm a serve and volleyer, so to me, I'm like, but you got to play with what you have. They were playing 2 back, but they were working their way in, and then they'd be up at the net, quick hands, putting some volleys away. So that, from what my players were doing on court, that was one that was really big.
Wait, so here's my takeaway from that, though. Let the kids surprise you.
Yeah.
They will surprise you. I think I shared with you that before a playoff match, I almost always say this: you don't have to play like Roger Federer or Serena Williams today. In fact, you don't have to play the best tennis of your life today. All you really have to do is compete. But if you are playing the best tennis of your life, keep going. and what that generally means is that one or two kids are going to play really, really well. And we've had this where some kids do some surprising things. And so then you just go, okay, well, we opened the door to that. Now let's walk through it and believe that they can get all the way through. So, all right. So I interjected there. So what was the next thing you were going to say?
So our singles players, I think what I was really impressed with was our serve percentages. I think that was really good. We had girls that pushed through the nerves, hit their serves. We weren't going for big, huge aces, but we were playing smart, making the opponents have to play. I had a girl, the one that ended up in number 5 spot, who she gets up 5-3 in the second set, ready to close out the match. And I don't know, I'm going to exaggerate, but at least 3 double faults in this match. So, we get to coach on the side change, and it's like, step up, attack the return, like do what you would have done in that, right? Like I didn't necessarily give her the same rewrite history speech in that moment, but it was more of just, you are in control of this match, step in. And so that was the only service game I'd ever seen her hit those double faults. I mean, she was great the whole match, but it got in her head. So normal. But I didn't want her to harp on that. Instead, I said, she's got this amazing return off this girl's serve on the ad side. She could keep hitting that winning shot. Like it was
right.
I must have seen her hit the same ball 40 times. The girl never was able to get it back. So just keep that play. Just reminding her of the simple play, the things that work. And again, you don't need to play miraculously. You just need to you just need to make them earn their points. No freebies.
Yes. And let's stop and cover 2 really important things here. Because I love what you're doing, because it's simple. And one thing that is true and has always been true, and Craig O'Shaughnessy is proving it over and over again, that the most important statistic in tennis will always be first serve percentage. So and then one of the things that I like to say to teenagers, because it's sort of ridiculous, is if you get your first serve in, you won't ever double fault. Because it's really motivating, because they hate it. They hate double faulting because it's embarrassing, makes you look stupid in public, right? So, but yeah, I mean, so it's a great advice to practice high serve percentages, and and then also move the ball around. But yeah, if it's in, it's got a chance, and if it's out, it doesn't matter how fast you hit it.
Right. And that there was not a single person across all the courts that was taking advantage of their serves. So why be fearful of their return? Especially if you're nervous and you're feeling shaky, get the point started. So, one girl at one point, one of my players came up, I can't make my first serve. I'm like, so back off, hit a second serve till you get your confidence up. Hit that second serve as a first serve. They're not jumping on it. If they were, probably tennis, like someone's going to feed me a second serve as a first, I'm going to jump on it. But they're not doing that in high school tennis.
Right. No, that's awesome. That's amazing. All right. So let's, so now in a couple of days, you're going to play in the state finals. So what's your practice plan for the next couple of days?
So they needed today off. We did not get off the court until 10:30 at night on Monday night. Last night was the away match. We finished, I don't even know, I didn't check the time. We were out celebrating and enjoying the moment, but I had to have been after 9, right? So that's late. They're studying. They've got a lot going on school week. So today is an off day. Tomorrow and Friday, there will be some form of practice, but it's probably going to be led by our team captain. I was telling you a little bit about this, Bill. I will be out of town. I had to change some plans around, so I'll be back in time. I'll get back on Friday so that we can go down as a team on Saturday. But in the mix of me sorting out my personal stuff, I've got to make sure they're on track and motivated. And so I've got a plan with my captain, and I'll get her kind of squared away to get them feeling good. And some girls on my team need to play every day, need to hit a lot of balls. Some of them don't. And so, you know, for some, it might look like come out and hit a basket of serves. So you're just feeling fresh and you feel good, your arms loose, and then move on. I was always a player that I needed to play every single day, or I was just not very good at tennis. Like that's how I felt. And I had the energy to do it. It was fine. I've got 2 girls, I would say, on my team that fit that category. I don't think they realize it, but I know it for them. Like they need to play.
Yeah.
The rest of them, they need to hit a little bit, but we don't need to be doing anything. We're not going to be doing conditioning or anything like that. Get a good stretch, move, hit, just get a good hit.
Yes. So I want to break 3 things down from what you just said too. Number 1, people don't realize the commitment that goes into high school tennis, that some of your personal stuff goes by the boards, you know, for the kids. And it takes you into the evenings. So you know, and when you come home, you're tired, you're beat. It's an adrenaline rush the whole time, and it's exhausting. And then 2 is you're very wise to let the girls have a day off today. A lot of coaches make the mistake of not letting them have a day of rest. And then I think it's really interesting what's going to happen when you're not there. And so you obviously know your team, and the thing that's a really important thing is to know which kids really need a certain thing and which ones don't, and plan for that. Because another mistake coaches make is they sort of have a cookie cutter approach. They think one size fits all. They didn't take the time to get to know their team and what the individual needs are. So you obviously have that dialed in, and that's a big key to your success. So we have a little under 3 minutes left. How should we finish this?
I don't know. I don't know. You take it and run with it, Bill.
So, so your girls can win the state title?
Well, I think we're going to win. I just, you know, I'll say this. I think that this season has been full of a lot of little mini obstacles, little moments of adversity. We started out major underdogs, came out of nowhere. Last year, we were losing 6-0 to every single team that we've just beaten. I mean, where did we come from type of a team? But I think we had a few weeks ago, and there's been a lot of rain delays and this and that, right? Like there's just been a lot of just like flexibility is the key type of moments. Okay, well, we got to adjust. Okay, match cancel, cool, we got to adjust. And then we had a couple in 1 week, 2 back-to-back intense matches. This is a couple of weeks ago during the regular season, and one went our way, one didn't. That match that did not go our way, and that's the one that dictated us taking second in the region instead of first. That was by design. Like I am so confident that we were in that scenario so that we could be in the scenario we're in today and going into Saturday. So because we lost that match, because we had that experience of being in this moment of having it all in our hands and losing by just a matter of points, now we're prepared. We know what that moment felt like. And you can't go from 0 to gold and never having experienced those big tense moments. But we got to do that within one season. We got to experience tense moment, and you don't just win those. You don't get that honor to just win them every single time. Yeah. Now we have that under our belt. So I feel so good about Saturday. It's not going to be for lack of mental capability or effort. It's going to be, are we outplayed or not? And that's all I can hope for.
That's awesome. And Yeah, and what I'm hearing there is something that's similar to every good team that I've had. They had to face some type of adversity. Something had to go wrong, and it might have been my team's fault. They might not have really brought what they needed to bring, and then they realized it, and then we kind of said, never again, right? You know, we're always going to do these things that are part of our process, and we're going to lay it on the line. And it doesn't mean we're guaranteed to win, but we are guaranteed to have satisfaction in the result. Because yeah, if the other team outplays you, then you're going to stop and you're going to acknowledge that, right? And go, well, they were just better than us today. So but that's awesome. Anyway, good luck on Saturday. And then so here, how about this? If you win it, we'll come back. And
Sure.
And then if not, then we'll just assume that the girls had a great time and all that. So, but let's follow up if you win this one, because I think this will be fun for people to kind of see these different stages in your story and your team's story. Yeah, and then I have another idea, but I'm not going to share that right now because I'll wait. I'm going to wait until after you win, and then I'll share that with you.
Okay, that sounds good. So we'll be back. We'll be back next week then.
Well, let's. We don't know that.
You can't. No,
anything
think
can
negative
happen,
in these moments.
we wish to be back next week. We feel confident we could be back next week. Anything's possible.
Exactly. We're going to see what happens, but I'm going in with a optimistic mindset and go with it from there.
All right. Very good. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to talking with you more later. And I, on Saturday, I'm going to be checking my phone for those updates.
Yes, I'll keep you posted. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.